going on, John?
Oh, I'm kicking ass and taking names and drinking iced tea and all that good stuff.
Iced tea. Is there anything in it? Anything good other than just regular tea leaves?
Inspiration, dear boy. Just inspiration. That's all.
Oh man, yeah. I think you had no shortage of it for all hell's breaking loose.
That is true. We are very pleased with the way it all came together, and it's it's one of those things at this point I'm like almost like avoiding listening to it because I want it to hit me on the head in full, the whole thing once again. So, but it's hard to avoid at this point. I keep getting updates on this, that, and the other, and it's exactly the way we wanted it. We wanted 10 songs, 35, 40 minutes, all killer, no filler, beat you in the face with a sledgehammer, with a smile.
Yeah.
With a smile and a wink.
Yeah, so there's a brief description, everybody, and welcome back to Rock Titan Live for all you people watching, and we are joined by the magnificent John Gallagher, frontman of Raven. They got their brand new album, as we've just alluded to, All Hell's Breaking Loose, coming out June 30th. And it's been a while, John. We caught up a couple years ago. I wouldn't expect you to remember my ugly mug, with all the other ugly mugs you come across on a regular basis in the media and, as you're touring and everything like that. But we caught up a couple years ago and we were talking all things Metal City. And
Cool.
and I thought it was interesting because, I go back and, watch a little bit of that, some of the things we were talking about. And I'm like, man, all hell's breaking loose. Certainly it applies today. Man, that would have worked as an album title a couple years ago, man.
Well, it certainly works for this. It's, somebody pointed out quite hilariously that if you look at the cover of Extermination, we predicted the pandemic.
Man, I'm telling you, it was crazy. Now, for you guys, and I'm sure everyone must adjust, you kind of you deal with what you're handed, and I know one of the hardest things for everybody during that period of time was just no touring, and I mean touring I know is especially in your guys' life's blood, playing in front of your fans live. There's just nothing like it. For you guys, I guess just what were some of the feelings you had in that, and was it one of those things where you just didn't dwell on it and immediately you're just like, you know what, let's just go write a new album?
To a degree, that's exactly what we had to do. I mean, we did the Monsters of Rock cruise in maybe January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And we planned a tour for maybe 5-6 months ahead of that in Europe to coincide with Metal City coming out. The bands we were going to tour with couldn't do it, and it was like, we're going to have to reschedule this. Let's put the album out in September. And then like a week later, boom, we hit with the lockdowns and all this other stuff. And we eventually decided, it'll be fine. This will all be over by then.
2 weeks.
And
Just
the
2 weeks.
longer it went on, it was like, it's not going to be all right, but
No.
we've postponed this album like almost a year. Let's just put it out. And it actually worked out good for us because there wasn't any live music. So fans had to concentrate on recorded music. And so a lot of people that may not have heard the album checked it out and really liked it. And that was really cool. But it was, I think the next date we played was in August of 21. We played the Alcatraz Festival.
Right.
So that's 18 months. Without touring, which is painful to say the least. But it was across the board. And we're still dealing with the ramifications of that right now because of, there was, especially in Europe, there was so many tours cancelled and festivals cancelled that the fans are like, well, I'm not going until the day of the show. I'm not buying a ticket. And because nobody buys tickets in advance, the promoter's like, oh, I'm not putting the show on. I'm going to lose all this money. So it's a vicious circle.
Right.
They cancel and people are, well, I'm definitely not buying a ticket in advance now because all these things are cancelling. So we got to kind of let that work its way out of its system. So it's just a horrible thing all round. And don't get me started. And don't get me started.
Nah, well, you did though. You did get started with all hell's breaking loose.
I had to stop myself.
No, man, but I mean, you just
I mean, there's a little bit of that in the album for sure, and it's reduced to its basic forms of being constrained and being held back and not being able to do what you want to do, and conversely, then having the opportunity to do what you want to do and relishing it and valuing it, So definitely the song All Hell's Breaking Loose, it's, you've been locked up in a box and then ba-boom, you get out and go crazy,
Right, but then when everything comes back to normal, it's like a massive tidal wave or a tsunami, if you will, washing across the globe. And of course, you guys are just surfing a tsunami,
Just riding that wave, man, riding that wave. That's it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's one of the things where you can look at the lyrics and take different angles on it. I mean, that is about riding a wave, but a couple of the waves we're used to is either the wave of shit, where you have to just get through to the other side and deal with it, or what's happening to us right now, which has happened because we're old fuckers so many times. You're not pushing the narrative starts pushing you, and you're on the top of the wave ready to just jump on that board because everything's coming up roses and all that. It's a good time for the band for sure. So
well, I'll tell you what, and everybody, you're in for a real treat with All Hell's Breaking Loose because John's brought his A game. I'm telling you, sir, you sound incredible on this album vocally. I mean, as awesome as you've ever been. So I am curious, is there anything in particular that you do on a regular basis to preserve those vocal cords of yours? I mean, is there anything you intentionally avoid habitually or anything like that, whether it's diet, exercise, not drinking, not smoking, anything like that?
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done any of the silly stuff.
Right.
And I mean, like we toured last year. We did the States. We did 43 dates. We had 3 days off, and 2 of them were travel days in that period. So lots and lots and lots of back-to-back shows, and I can do that if I don't get a cold, and if I get you keep your immune system up, and I get lots of sleep, and then I'm good to go. Then it's just like working out. You work out every day, you get stronger. You sing every day, you get stronger. And the album, Mike basically sat with me a lot and was really pushing me to just try stuff. Mark comes in and goes, yes, no, maybe, and doesn't want to sit through the whole thing, but that's good because then you get in and he doesn't have to listen to endless takes. But to be honest, I did all the vocals in this in 4 days.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you how long it actually took to produce.
Yeah, I'm usually very quick. I mean, Metal City was 2 days. We took a little longer on this, but it was still, compared to, I've heard of tales of bands going in there, and if you're lucky, they'll get a song out of them in a week. Yeah, it's like no. I constrain the fact that you can do all these vocal gymnastics and all that, but it's if you can't do it in the context of singing the song from start to finish, then it's pointless. It's like
agreed. Yeah.
Physically, if you're singing a tough part and then you're doing a lot of high stuff, if you're just punching in to do the high stuff all the time, and then try do the whole thing at once, it's like no. So I would never do that. It has to be doable. I have to be able to recreate this when we play live. And of course that goes for everything else, you know. There's some crazy bass fills on the Far Side, and they were like, do something, try this, and like, oh, I would, nope, I gotta play it. So wind me back, let me play along, and then and all that shouting, get it? Because if you can play it a few times and get it right, you can learn it, you can play it, and it's part of your repertoire, and that's what you want.
Right on, man. And I'm so glad you brought that up, in terms of whatever you are playing on the album, whatever you're doing in the studio, you need to be able to replicate that on stage. And I would expect nothing less from you. I wasn't necessarily going to go down this path, but since you kind of brought it up, I am very curious from a person like yourself. There's been a lot going on in the media, I would say probably over the last few months, without calling anyone out, when it comes to backtracks.
Sabaton! Did I say something?
Oh, man. Oh, but so obviously, I didn't realize how prevalent it was. I didn't, I mean, I'm totally ignorant when it comes to that side of the music world. I mean, I've always had my suspicions when I've been at certain live shows. I'm just like, oh man, how in the world are they being so animated, energetic, and everything like that? And it looks like they're taking a breath right now, but I still hear something coming out, So clearly, Raven would never be guilty of such a thing. But can you see any justification in bands doing that, or do you just think that that is complete?
No, and it actually started to piss me off towards the end of with Rush, and I love Rush. But you listen to a lot of the later Rush, and there was extra vocals piped in, and this and that, and I mean, I get it that in the earlier part of the career, like Geddy was spinning plates while he was on fire on a unicycle, and and that can be, that takes away a bit from the fun of playing, because you're literally doing 90 things at once. So, they had a lot of stuff triggered on MIDI, but then it just started getting more and more and more. And a lot of that stuff you don't need. And my favorite example is Queen. Queen had outrageous albums, especially A Night at the Opera, right? And the only thing they ever cheated with, and they made it very clear, was the middle section of Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like, we're not going to try this. It's too over the top. We're going to play the tape and we'll walk off stage, so we're not there, and then we'll come on and do the rest of it. And other than that, up until 1982, there was only 4 guys on stage, and they would do songs like the Prophet song and Bohemian Rhapsody and Brighton Rock and Killer Queen, all those amazing songs with multi-layers, loads and loads, 30, 40, 50 overdubs, and strip it down to the essence and create something better in many ways, because it was more direct and it was right in your face, and live was live and studio was studio.
Right.
And, that's inspirational. That means you're not tied to reproducing the album. And anyone that's just like, well, we have to do this, we have to do that. It's a cheat. It's a con, and it's the easy way out. And it's shit.
Yeah.
So
right on.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. No.
And and obviously, if you're in the business, it's a lot more obvious. I've seen some of these bands. There was a band on 70,000 Tons once. Half the songs had bass guitar introductions, and they didn't have a bass player. I was like, really? And the aforementioned band has all this Hammond rock organ starting songs, and there's no keyboard player. It's like, really?
Right.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, a band like Muse, they started running into that. They brought a couple of guys on the road with them, so it's all played. And that's fine. That's fine,
Yeah, well,
because it's all about, you have the guys come on stage, and there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And when they start playing, you're creating something out of thin air. It's magic.
Right.
It's pure magic when people create music, and pushing the play button is not creating magic. Yeah.
Right on, man. Right on. One of the things I'm interested in from you, John, and I thought it was really cool. You guys have been so engaged on social media lately. You know, I go out to your page, and you guys have really been all about getting out there, talking to your fans, like really talking to your fans. And you've been doing analyses of, you know, quite a number of the tracks already off Hell. All Hell's Breaking Loose, everybody! June 30th. June 30th. Make sure you go grab it, and we'll have all the links here to that. But was it a group decision between you, Mike, and Mark to be as engaging
Yeah,
as you've
and our
been?
manager, we wanted to. I mean, for those things you're talking about, yeah, it's just definitely let's do a whole series of videos talking about the songs, talking about the process, and we get to goof off and act silly.
Yeah.
So we had the end of the UK tour was insane. We had before the last show, we commandeered the venue and did like 3 performance video shoots all the way through, and then we went to the hotel. It was pissing down with rain. We couldn't go out, so we did a whole bunch of stuff in there. In the hotel, there was there was this room that had garbage cans in. It was white and triangular. So we took everything out and dressed me up in a sheet, so I looked like I was in a straitjacket, and that's part of the stuff in one of the songs. Crazy stuff.
I'm sure you've never been
And then
in a straitjacket
we
before.
shot a bunch of those videos as well. So it's it's just fun to see. It's informative and gives people a little taste of what's coming.
Yeah, no, I agree. So in terms of what's coming, I've seen the official music video for Surf Tsunami. Love it. And I know you've done some other live recordings like what you just talked about. Do you have any other official music videos that are going to be coming out in support of All Hell's Breaking Loose?
Yeah, there'll be at the very least one more that'll
Okay.
come out when the album's released, and if we can get to it, we'll try and do a few more while we're on, because it I mean, you just look at the numbers. If you get 20,000 people to see your video, to get across to 20,000 people playing club shows, it's going to take you a long time. Obviously, if you're playing a couple of festivals, you can maybe do that in one festival quite easily. So, you've got to think along those lines to try and get it across. Not that it takes the place of getting out and playing live. But I mean, we're that band where we'll play in front of 100 people or 100,000, and we'll give the same show. We don't care. It's all good.
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, I want to be sensitive to your time, John, but in terms of talking about playing live, uh, I'll kind of get maybe a little story from you here, and we'll sign off. But you've played with so many amazing bands, over the course of a very long, successful career. Is there anyone that you still have on your bucket list that you've never toured with, never shared the stage with, and it's still something that you're hoping happens?
Oh, I'd have to dig through for that, because, of course, a lot of the ones I'd want to, I can't. We can't tour with Slade. We can't tour with Led Zeppelin, and we can't tour with, who else? People of that stature. We've been very lucky to be able to play with, Judas Priest, to play with Motorhead,
Right
to
on.
play with Ozzy. I mean, some of these bands, they were only one-offs. So yeah, we'd love to play with Iron Maiden again. Absolutely. It's always great to play with Metallica. We were very lucky to do that thing down in Florida
Right
last
on.
November,
Right on.
the John and Marsha Zazula tribute thing, which was fantastic. But there's always new worlds to conquer, and our bucket list is very long.
All
So
right, all right, all right. Any specific places you're looking forward to going in your next tour cycle?
yeah, we're setting up for Japan next year and looking at Australia. Hopefully, we can sneak New Zealand into that too, and maybe other points far east. Singapore's turning up to be a place to go to. Uh, we'll do that. There's still a few countries in South America we haven't hit yet. We
Right
wanna
on.
definitely do that. So all of the above.
Right on, right on. Well, John Gallagher, thank you for joining me again on Rock Titan. And everybody, if you have enjoyed this conversation with the frontman of Raven every bit as much as I have, show us a little bit of love and go to subscribe to our channel, and you'll get to see, you know, all the amazing content that we're always putting up there. And go back and check out the one John and I did a couple years ago, because that was very entertaining as well, in support of Metal City. And if you haven't got Metal City, go and add that to your collection, because that's incredible. But All Hell's Breaking Loose, coming out June 20th. That is one you must absolutely snatch up, and it's quick listen, like John was talking about. You know, about 35-40 minutes. Awesome. I mean, it is as fast as it is fast. You know, so it's awesome.
We come in, we abuse your family, we take all your stuff, and then we leave.
Oh man, John, thank you again, man. It's been awesome hanging out with you, and stay safe out there, and continued success, my man.
You got it, mate. You take care.
Thank you. All right, everybody, I'm Scotty J. You're watching Rock Titan. We're out.
Bye.